A very good afternoon to you, our viewers. You're welcome to today's episode of Punch Sports Extra. The 12th of August 2024. It's a Monday, a bright Monday. My name is Shegun Odwanyo. I have with me here my co-anchor, co-driver, co-analyst, and together we'll be crisscrossing what happened in Paris 2024, the just concluded Olympics. We'll be explaining it and checking the good, the bad, and the ugly, especially as it pertains to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. For the 5th time in history, we went on the Olympic chase and came back with air. No gold, no silver, no bronze. Good afternoon.
Of course,
we came back the same way we went.
Yeah, good afternoon.
In Yoruba language.
It's the same way. I mean, it's just the day after the day the Olympics ended, and just like you said in the Yoruba parlance, you know, I wish we had Yoruba sports dailies and you just put it on the cover of the paper today. BLLB. Just put BLLB there. And it means a lot. But we've been there before. We've seen it before. This is the 8th time it's happened to us. It started with our debut at the Helsinki Games in 1952. Excusable. Subsequent appearances in Melbourne, other ones. But then it became really loud at London 2012. We thought it would never happen again. But in 2024, even with the best of our athletes in certain events,
an array of stars,
we still couldn't do it. Definitely, the blame has to go around. And trust the sports minister. There is still this thing I call Shalaye Olympics.
He knows how to come out with those
which happens
tweets
after the Olympics. So after the Olympics is the Shalaye Olympics, and we are in that era now.
Shalaye. All right, let's start with our own Shalaye very quickly. For those who don't know what Shalaye means, explanations. Yeah. How did we get it wrong? We were here a couple of weeks ago, optimistic, happy, excited, ready to go, ready to shoot, ready to fire.
Yeah.
We are here a few weeks after, demoralized, down, and Shalayeing already. What happened?
You know, for everybody, I will say, you know, as someone that is as neutral as the over 200 million people of Nigeria, I will pick every bit of my explanation from the statement of the sports minister, which he released yesterday. As at August last year, when Senator John Enoch came on as the Minister of Sports Development, he stated categorically that preparations for the Olympics had not begun as at then. And when he came on to, he had the Africa Cup of Nations, the All-African Games, the Paralympics, the Olympics, and some other competitions to take care of. But he made it clear that the Olympics had not started, preparation had not started. And we have this cliche or this belief, it is beyond belief too, that for you to win a medal at the Olympics, you need a programming of at least 4 years to be sure. So if it had not started as at August 2023, that was the beginning of our problems. And from some of the statements that Eno also made, that as at that point too, qualifications were not even almost in top gear. Qualifiers were still ongoing. And by the competitions that we followed too, I think the last team that qualified, the last set of guys that qualified were the athletes, the track and field athletes, who had their qualification window end on June 30. And of course, the Super Falcons had qualified, the D Tigers had qualified as early as February. Table tennis players, some of them, their last qualifications was in May. Someone like Haruna had sealed in sports before then too. So we had little or no window to qualify. And no wonder the minister said at a point that we should be focusing on preparations.
Not qualification.
Federations and athletes were more focused on qualifying first, and no federation could even put forward the name of these athletes and say we are programming them. So it shows a lot of systemic problems that we have. For the sports minister to say he came on August 2023,
and there was nothing
on ground between Tokyo 2020, which was there in 2021, and August 2023. So it's it's a systemic problem, a very endemic one that we should first of all get rid of going forward. So I think that was the first place that we got it wrong, and I think at the same time too, we set our hopes too high, and from the systemic problem that we've had too, we believe that we are that good.
Because the minister started by saying the target was 1996 Olympics.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was the opinion. That was what he fed the public. You know, he didn't come with let's work. I mean, we are hoping for the best, but you know, if the worst comes, we'll take it. But you know, the tone was we are going to repeat a 96.
You know, if you inject 9 billion naira, a total budget of 12 billion naira, and 9 billion naira
for the
set aside for the Olympics, you are bound to make such statements so that your principal would also hear that, he's showing workings. So you are bound to make those statements that there is a target of best outing, which was in 1996, 3 gold medals, 6 in all, and all of that. We want to surpass it and all of that. What did we do? You know, I really wish I was in that system, or I was very close to that system. I can only imagine how Nigerian sport peaked. When I say peaked, P-E-A-K-E-D, between 1992 and 1996, we were more like at our best. As at 1992, we were still trying to do something. It wasn't working. But 1994,
93, 94, 95,
the world
90,
knew us. And 1996, the world knew Nigeria was all over the face of every other country in the world. So
not just in football.
So we must have really peaked since then. So these days we are only riding on those glory, doing little or nothing.
Sorry, during the athletics, so person from Nigeria, that's a big athletics country. The next guy comes, Samuel Ogazi, for example, that's from Nigeria, that's a big athletics country. But there was nothing a big athletics country.
So it means that talent is never the problem. It means that what we should be doing in the grassroots is what we should be intensifying. Beyond discovering these guys, what programs are we putting in place for them to develop? You know, these guys, so like some of the ex-athletes, ex-stars who have won medals from this country said, you know, most of our guys now, you find them in the US schooling and competing.
NCAA products.
What are they doing? They are running for their lives. I mean, what I mean running for their lives is that they know that if they don't go to college, they are probably not going to have the best of facilities to train at home. And
Paisola Jai, for example,
from Ikorodu to Auburn, and if he is not there, he is probably going to still.
It will be a row park,
trying to get some things together. He doesn't even know which substance is not supposed to inject in his body. And all of that.
Doesn't know what food combinations to take.
A whole lot of things. So these guys are running for their dear lives by moving from Nigeria
to the United States
to study and also compete. And when they are there, they will compete based on what their schools are programming them for. They cannot tell their coaches, this is what I want to do. No, you do what your coaches want you to do.
Of course.
So after then, what happens? Take, for example, someone like Ese Rume, who went to the University of Benin here. Top athletes, you know, very consistent over the years. But over time, after school, and since she has turned pro, she has been very consistent for the country. But if you look at other athletes who went to college in the United States and came back, you know, the facilities they were used to there, they are no longer training with it. So if you after college, if you don't get signed professionally by either Nike or Adidas or any of these companies, you are probably not going to have access to many competitions around the world. Like
you mean you won't be like a Tebogo, for example.
You just come back to square one. And look at the story of Tebogo, for example. He was discovered at the age of 15 in Botswana. His school teacher was the first person to post and say, watch out for this boy, he will come out. He started running. At 2021, after he competed at the World Under-20 Championships in Nairobi, he was beaten by one Nigerian in the 200 meters, Chidi Udodi Onwuzurike, who is also in the NCAA. But Tebogo, unlike many other Nigerians, unlike Onwuzurike and other Nigerians, he didn't go the NCAA way. His coach, they had to tell him a lot of things to just let this guy remain. Let him keep competing at that level and get him a deal with Nike. And that is what is reaping. He has gone pro.
While Onwuzurike is still trying to use the college ticket.
Meanwhile, Onwuzurike studied at Stanford. In his second year, he had to pull out, say he's no longer going to be studying under the scholarship and all of that. He wanted to go pro on his own. But he has had injury. You know, they run week in, week out in the NCAA system. He has had injury. He was running 19 seconds in the 200 meters before.
He defeated Tebogo.
He defeated Tebogo at under 20 level. So he was running, but he has had injury, which he has been managing since last year. He is no longer at his best unless that injury is well taken care of and all of that. So someone like that, the NCAA system demands a lot from these guys, such that they are not programmed professionally. Ofili has had like 1 year in his pro session now. He finished from LSU. and he has had about a year already. She got signed to Adidas immediately, and she's been reaping that benefit since then. And she's been a top athlete even from her NCAA days. So luckily for her, she's been able to manage that transition from college to professional. But it's been difficult for some of them, and it is more difficult for some of them who don't get signed after college. So it's a little bit dicey for our track and field stars. But the bottom line remains that the talent is not the problem. We just need to have programs that will keep these guys in the system for what we want them to become. But if you ask many, they will still tell you the NCAA is still the best route for these guys.
All right, just during the Olympics, the NCAA on their social media handles were posting their products.
Different schools were posting their products.
They are posting their products. It was like we were having NCAA Olympics because in almost every event they had someone representing, gymnastics,
they had someone winning.
Everywhere they had gold, silvers. It was crazy. That is exactly what the United States were reaping. 40 goals they had in all. But if you look at their athletes that represented other countries that were products of the NCAA, for me it was, you give it to the NCAA, it can simply be tagged the NCAA Olympics, because for other countries they had non-Americans that were running for, even for Nigeria. Look at, for example, the basketball team that has come out to be glorious. The glory child of this Olympics. Yeah. Rena Wakama herself came out of that system.
In Nigerian
American. About 60-70% of them from that group are Nigerian Americans. Promise. Amukamara. Yeah, Amukamara. Many of them. Ezinekalu, Emi Okonkwo. Almost all those girls, perhaps except for Musa. Yeah. Most of them were from the system. Look at Samuel Ogazi, discovered in Kaduna, shipped off to the United States as well.
He has spent a year already.
Koinsola has spent a year already. He shipped off in January. This is going to a year now. If you don't invest in sports, long and short, if we don't invest in sport, not just prepare for the Olympics, 3 months to go, 4 months to go, we are not going anywhere. But very quickly, Biodun, let's talk about the bright aspects. Yeah, we can't just concentrate on the failures. We had some positive. Samuel Ogazi, after 36 years for Nigeria, making the 400 meters finals. Okay. No finals for Nigeria in the 100 meters, unlike 4 years ago when we had an homegrown Enoch Adegoke. But we had some of the semi-finals. 200 meters, we weren't brilliant if you ask me. I think Chidozie Okezie didn't really do well as well.
400?
In 400, Favour got to the finals in 200 meters, but 100 meter debacle overshadowed the good news and a couple of other good news.
And the fact that we also had 3 finalists in the women's long jump.
Was
another milestone
Ruth
for us.
Esoro, Ese Brume, and another Uniben, Prestina from Uniben as well. So,
and from even what I understand, Prestina might also be going to the NCAA by January. So,
but she has to go. This is it. Looking at that finals, even the semi-finals, you saw Ese, you saw this lady eventually, the lady that won gold in the end. Hall. I'm trying to remember. I saw him now. Woodall. You saw the other girls. You saw the quality of their jump. And then you look at Prestina. Prestina is probably the best out of Nigeria. No doubt about that. You have to give it to her. People that knew her from Uniben started coming out to say, we know her quality and all that. But if you compare it was clear she had to,
Well, that was where it was. And by the time she gets there as well, I think those are the areas she will be working on and she will be stepping in. So let's not forget, on the bright side too, I think if I would have to rank it, the Tigress, they take all the glory for all the misses that we have. Without a medal, they look like the best thing to have happened to Nigeria at the Olympics. And that is how you should show that you are African champions. We had another African champion at the tournament who was at the last Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand last year. We thought they had arrived, but they didn't even come to the party in Paris.
In the Olympics at all.
But the Tigress, that is how to show that you have this dominance at home and you take it to the world stage.
If we hadn't met the United States
in the quarterfinals,
we could have gone to the finals.
We could have just,
because it was Belgium. The option was Belgium or Australia.
So we could have just met another team in the semi-finals and flex muscles again, find our way into the next stage of the competition.
And just keep going.
But it wasn't to be. But nevertheless, they capped it all yesterday with Rena Wakama being named the best coach at the Olympics and Ezinekalu making the second All-Star team as well. So it's as good as that for the D Tigress. It can't be enough. You know, Wakama has already said it at the end of it. As much as they did well,
fund basketball,
they still need to fund basketball, and they need to get rid of the infighting in the federation as well.
The NBBF
and all of that. So all those ones need to be bygone, and let's just forge a way forward from the success that they recorded at the Olympics. From there too, you know, if you have to pick individual athletes, it should be Samuel Ogazi, a man that got into the final. I wouldn't even tip him
that was going to get
into the final of the 400 meters. And you know, he did that for me and for the entire country.
He came to the repechage though.
Even though he didn't come through in the final, he showed the stuff he was made of, and he ran 2 personal
an 18-year-old boy from Kaduna.
So for him to have run 2 PBs, no, it means a lot, and means he could always get better. I would also pick Ezekiel Nathaniel, who ran in the 400 meter hurdles. He got into the semi-finals, but he was running against the best in that race. It was difficult for him, and he didn't even need the repechage to make the semi-finals.
He did it on his own.
He did it on his own, so it made a lot of sense to that. He came to the party. So now their combination will have done us something really spectacular in the 4x4 meter. 4x400
if not for the disqualification, going past the line.
I saw them coming into that race, and you know, you could see how fired up they were, and it was only a matter of time.
Celebration was.
They only needed Samuel Ogazi to rest well for the finals the following day.
Yes,
and we
because we needed Ogazi fresh.
We could have been dreaming of a potential medal in that event, and it was not so certain, but anything could have happened. The spirit of the final
is different.
Was always
like
different.
Discussed.
But I saw the 400 meter final eventually the following day. You need to see the way Tebogo was also drafted into that race for Botswana, and he almost chased down the best 400 meter hurdler in the world, who ran the ankle leg for America. I always chased him down for gold, but then it took a lot of resilience at the finish line. So when you thought Tebogo would have just tried to dip or anything, he gave up and just let the guy take the gold.
They could have gotten gold.
But it was that close. So I could have imagined the same thing for Nigeria. In that
the spirit of the final is different. But like we found out in the 100 meter finals.
But they got disqualified. And there, you know, let's use the carrot and stick now. As good as they are in that race, I don't think they need anybody to tell them not to match the inside of the lane while running. It might be subconscious or anything. But an athlete should know so much not to do that. And we had the same issue with Samba Maela during the 100 meter hurdles, and a lot of Nigerians wanted her disqualified. But
now, talking about the spirit of the final, nobody would have ever thought that Samba and Maela was going to get anything out of the 110 hurdles. Nobody would have.
100 hurdles?
Oh, sorry, 100 hurdles. But the crowd, the French crowd, I think somehow they had the way around everything.
You know, the cheers of the French crowd inside the Stade de France during that race, I think if the tailwind, the natural tailwind was not enough to propel her, the cheers of the crowd could form a tailwind, and it would be only behind Samba Mayela in that final, and it could propel her to gold. But for the champion, Yasmin Camacho Queen, not to have defended
She didn't come first. She didn't even come second.
She took the bronze.
She couldn't post her bronze on social media because you were the champion 3 years ago. What happened to she just, you know?
And not even Alicia Johnson could take the gold because on the third hurdle or so, she stumbled and she just had to keep going. She just had to keep going. A Jamaican on the outside lane didn't even finish. But Samba Mayela on the inside lane, the lady who got into the semi-finals,
via
the last automatic.
She was not denied to be admission on that slot because if she didn't go with her 12.52, Toby's 12.55 would have taken her into the finals.
We both discussed this. The third heat in that semi-final was really fast.
Massive.
It was really fast.
It was massive.
So if it had not been a fast race, she probably would have been running 12.6 or something.
Yes, 12.6, 12.62.
But that was a very fast race, and that was what propelled her. You probably did not.
I think we should give it to the French fans again for that semi-finals because the entire attention